About 1,000 new apps get released every single day. It's no wonder so many people are suffering from what I call shiny new toy syndrome. That's when you see a new productivity app and think, this is going to solve all my problems. I must drop everything and switch to it immediately. As someone who has been in the productivity space for over a decade now, and someone who's taught thousands of people how to use these tools more effectively, I have a strong opinion about this. In this video, I'll share with you my guidelines for when it is not the right time to switch apps, and when you should consider switching. Let's get started. There are 4 situations in which people commonly switch their note-taking apps that I think are ill-advised. First, when your existing app breaks. In virtually all of these cases, the app isn't truly breaking. That's a little overly dramatic. It's probably just become a little slow, or it's suffering a temporary glitch or bug, or maybe a feature that you like got eliminated or updated. While these things can be frustrating, changing your entire digital home in response is almost always an overreaction.
Abandon ship. This is not a drill.
I guarantee whatever new app you switch to will have its own fair share of glitches and problems that you're gonna have to deal with. And now you've spent a ton of time and effort moving all your notes and changing all your existing habits and workflows. Second, when there's a price increase. I cannot imagine a worse reason to overhaul your digital world than when your app of choice gets a little bit more expensive. If you are using it at even 1% of its potential, just the time savings it creates will easily exceed that additional expense many times over. And you know what? The new app you're switching to will eventually increase their price as well. Do not spend huge amounts of your precious time and attention just to save a few bucks. Third, when embarking on a new project. I get it, you want to start with a fresh, clean slate, but I think this is almost always a mistake. When a project is just starting, you don't have time to adopt new tools. Your tools are almost never the bottleneck to your progress, at least in the early days. And changing up your tools will likely just distract you from the truly essential first steps that are needed to make tangible progress. Fourth, when new technology arrives. This happens every few months in the productivity world. A big flashy announcement with slick videos and tons of famous influencers proclaiming
that this new app is revolutionary and unprecedented and changes everything.
Followed shortly thereafter by a ton of people on social media loudly declaring why they're leaving this old app forever and how this new app has radically improved their life. This might seem like the perfect time to jump ship and ride the new technological wave, but in almost all cases, it's just not. To understand why, let's look at why it's not always desirable to be at the forefront of an emerging technology. This is the Gartner hype cycle, a well-known model for how new technologies enter the marketplace and change our behavior. Here's how it works. A technology trigger is a new breakthrough technology that gets invented. It quickly ascends to what's called the peak of inflated expectations because there's just a lot of hype around its potential. That's around the time you see people posting all over social media things like,
oh my God, it's going to change the world.
But see, that peak always overshoots and leads soon to the trough of disillusionment as the reality of the technology's limitations sets in. The actual technology continues to mature throughout this roller coaster, eventually climbing the slope of enlightenment as the practical use cases become more clear. Finally, the new tech matures and enters the plateau of productivity. Then and only then does it start to become integrated into our everyday lives and actually improve our productivity and performance. If you use a second brain like I do as an extension of your mind, then the most important feature is reliability first and foremost. Apps tend to be most reliable when they're mature and proven, with all the kinks and bugs having been worked out a long time ago. So when should you switch your note-taking app? Changing your second brain app is similar to, say, replacing the water heater in your home, or the transmission in your car, or moving to a new bank. It's something you want to do as infrequently and reluctantly as possible, and only when circumstances truly demand it. This is why I think the best time to switch apps is at major life transitions. When you're graduating, changing jobs or careers, moving to a new city, getting married, having kids. At these points, your life, your routines, your habits are already changing anyway, and in a major way. Your second brain, your life support system, should support and mirror that change. Let's look at how my second brain has evolved and changed platforms during major life transitions over the last few decades. My first second brain tool was a paper notebook. Honestly, that was sufficient for most of my school years when I didn't have my own computer, and even if I did, I wouldn't have been allowed to use it at school. Microsoft Word was a good fit for my late high school and early college years, because it was the only text-based software that I knew how to use. It allowed me to gain fluency in an app that I'd been using for many years of homework and class assignments as well. In my early 20s, I switched to Google Docs, which was ideal during a period of intense traveling and living abroad during my digital nomad phase, where I really needed everything to be saved to the cloud for safekeeping. Finally, a few years after the first iPhone came out, I moved to Evernote, a mobile-friendly app that has been a great companion for the last decade, when what I really needed was a simple, convenient way to manage my notes, mostly for content creation. By timing your digital migrations to accompany major life transitions, you can ensure that you're doing it for the right reasons. Not because you're bored, not because you're craving distraction, or avoiding facing your problems, or avoiding doing the real work to be done. And definitely not because the hype for a new hotshot app is too powerful to resist. If you're sure you want to switch to a new note-taking app, but you're unsure which one to pick, I have something for you. See, you don't really pick a notes app. A notes app chooses you. It speaks to you, it resonates with you based on the natural way your mind works. In this next video, I'll guide you through the process of choosing the perfect notes app for you, taking into account what I call your personal note-taking style.